different changes. We have different version released. So a bug fix will bump the last number, the last digit of the version number, for example. We also switch to conventional commits so that when we commit, we put a meaningful message explaining what we put in the code, what was the feature or what was the bug fix. And also, in order to give better understanding of what we do, we added several ways of notifying people. So we have Slack notification, we have a releases channel on Slack. You also have all the releases on GitLab. So you have a small release button where you can check what is in the release. We have change logs. We also notify people on the open source community mailing list. So you have ways and ways to be aware of what we do. I will do it like that. So small recap on what we've done on the compliance. So since February, 20 releases of the compliance. As you can see, 30% bump of line of codes, way less code smells. We greatly improved the code quality. The compliance now implements totally the Trust Framework 2210. So that's the reason why Tagus is done, the Trust Framework is done. We still have some security hotspots regarding the Docker file because we just copied the whole directory into the image with the source code. So that's the reason why. The registry. That's the one that grew the most. So from 1,400 line of code to more than 4,000. Still less bugs and code smells than before. Also, this is a total implementation of the Trust Framework 2210. The PRLD, so the labels, are in progress too. So Tagus is done. We are already working on the labels from 2211. And that's the same thing, security hotspots on the Docker file because we copy from the local directory directly in the image. And we do have a bit of duplication, and that's the test we now perform on the code. The notary is probably the thing we are the less proud of. So 17 releases, a bit more code, and a bit more bugs. The fact is that this component will be probably entirely redone because it's still on just Node.js with JavaScript, no TypeScript, no Nest.js, so we will rewrite it. And it's planned for this year, end of this year or next year. And we are also preparing a testbed so that we ensure that our implementation of the notary is proper, but if you want your own notary, you will be able to see if it complies with what we expect. And you will be able to get a certification that your notary is okay. We also provided new components. We were not supposed to do it, but we created a wizard. So if you come to the OSS community meeting, you might be already familiar. You also saw it yesterday in the main room. So this wizard allows you to start manipulating credentials without having too much to do. We handle verifiable credentials. We do the signature. We also provide you the IDs, so you don't have to do it. We also prototyped some stuff in it. Arthur, who is there on the third row, prototyped the eIDAS signature. So we expect in the near future to be able to allow any European citizen to sign with its eIDAS certificate. We also prototyped Ubico encrypted certificates and keepers, also Arthur. So yeah, the wizard is often released and will always be often released because that's our main sandbox playground. We also were not supposed to release that, but we had to provide a way for everyone to share their credentials. So we proposed and released the Credential Event Service, also known as the CES. So that's a basic Quarkus API backed by a Kafka topic. So right now that's quite centralized. The Gaia-X ASBL is the only one deploying it at the moment because it was not mandatory for Tagus, will be for Loire release. We already have 3 releases. As you can see, the Open API is quite small. You have a get endpoint allowing you to retrieve all the credentials that were sent to the service, a post endpoint, and a get with an ID that allows you to see that the event you sent is in there. Apart from those projects, we also have a bunch of initiatives that we lead in the association. So we had to create a CLA, so Contributor License Agreement bot, allowing us to accept external contribution on the code. So we, like all other projects, this project is open source, free. So you have access to it. You can reuse it for your needs, which is quite nice. We also try to handle our DNS with OctoDNS because we will have some dynamic DNS with IPFS and this kind of stuff. So that will greatly help us. We also try to help people understand what they are using and where they are. So you have a nice 404 page on our cluster, which allows you to see what are the deployed instances from the load balancer and the lab instances. And we also have for our internal use, but it's obviously free and open, a status page with uptype Kuma, so that we know that everything runs and is properly running. Moving to Loire release, as you can see, the last months were quite intense in the association, and the next upcoming months will be, well, intense too. So we are moving to more decentralization. It was the main goal of Gaia-X and of any initiative, I will say. So the registry is being moved to IPFS, so decentralized storage. Arthur on the third row is in charge of doing that. He will say a few words afterwards. We also want to move the CS from this centralized Kafka hosted by the association to something more decentralized and open, so probably a blockchain. So if you have ideas, comments regarding that, feel free to raise them, because that's something that we need. We need feedback from the community, from the adopters. We also have a huge rework of what we call the shapes. So the whole Gaia-X ecosystem uses JSON-LD as payloads to represent RDF, and we are using in the back Shackle, which is a norm from the W3C. And this norm is Shackle, and we apply the shapes to the payloads to see if they matches the rules. So do you have, for example, your country code in your legal participant? And there is a whole redo that will be done in the upcoming months with the help of the service characteristic working group. So yeah, you should expect a bit of change in the namespaces, in the name of the classes, for example. We also want to increase the trust. As you can see from now on, the chain of trust starts from the certificate authority or the national trust service provider, identifying you or your company, your signed credential. We also want this chain of trust to start from the hardware, which means that we want the compliance engine, for example, to run on a trusted enclave on your CPU. So that will be my work for the upcoming months, signing our binaries, making sure that they run, they were not tampered, and this kind of stuff. So yeah, it will go on for the next months. We have Alexis that is working on what Pierre also presented yesterday that we call the catalogs indexes. So we have the transparency, the veracity, and the length of the search chain, I think, something like that. So we will try to provide a catalog implementation and probably a library to help you implement these indexes. We also are working on policy reasoning. If you were there yesterday, you saw Yassir's presentation on that. So we are trying to use standards, again, always, using ODRL and credentials to do validation, to allow catalogs to do exclusions or pre-matchings on services, for example. And finally, we are also preparing a testbed, as I said, to ensure that if you have a custom notary implementation, like what they do in the system, if I'm not wrong, you can have a certificate or a signature, something to say that, okay, your notary is okay, he's allowed to issue credentials. That will be useful, for example, if you want to make business with China or countries that don't have VAT numbers. And obviously, we will continue what we do all day long, meaning that we will still continue to help deploy those components on clearinghouses and for test purpose for people that want to. We will still continue to help you enter this marvelous world of verifiable credentials, signatures, cryptographic material, using, well, Slack, mails, GitLab issues. And yeah, we will continue what we've done for the past months, trying to improve the code quality, to improve the performances, and to catch up with the specifications from the association members. Well, that's quite short. I wanted to let the team introduce themselves so that you know that I'm not the only developer in the team, and you can already catch up with the people that will do what I won't do. So I will pass the mic to the third row.
Yeah, thanks. So hi everyone. So I'm Arthur. I will, like Evan said, work mainly on decentralizing, the registry and maybe other services of the clearinghouses. So what's really important to know, I guess, is that we are looking on specific technologies like distributed hash tables with IPFS or blockchain technologies, but really we are open on everything. The idea is to decentralize or at least distribute this stuff so that we eliminate single points of failure. So we are open to feedbacks and ideas, and don't hesitate to ping me on Slack or Matrix or everything. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Alexis Després, and in the next month I will work on machine learning in order to provide a way to make service compositions and catalog search.
Hi everyone, I'm Vincent Callagher. I just joined the team yesterday, so I'm discovering this with everybody. I'll be probably discussing with a lot of the people around here, so pleased to meet you and see you on the other side.
Hello everyone, my name is Erwan Williams-Favry. I'm a DevOps and Ops engineer, and I just joined the team here at Gaia-X to work mostly on problematic around infrastructure, so we'll see in the coming month each other maybe talk and so on. Glad to meet you.
So hello everyone, I'm Valentin Miziazek. I am in Gaia-X CTO team since the last year, and I work mostly on the wizard and on the framework page.
Hello everyone. Well, for the people maybe who were here also yesterday, so I'm Yassir, and maybe you've seen also my presentation for the policy reasoning. So I'll be continuing working on that. And like you've seen yesterday, it's on the wizard, but the goal is to provide a library on that and keep improving. And yeah, also open for your suggestions or any feedback on that. Thank you.
Well, that marks the end of this presentation. I guess we have a lot of time if you have questions, answers, feedback to give. Obviously, we are just software developers, so we are not perfect. We are way open to feedback. We are used to. So feel free to raise your hand if you have questions or remarks, concerns.
Do we have, sorry for my ignorance, but do we have a release date, a tentative one for Loire? Okay. Do you have any best guess? If you don't want to answer, I totally understand it.
I want to answer, but I don't have the answer. I don't have a date. I don't have, to be honest, the release plan is not, it's not ready yet. We rushed.
I totally get it, yeah. But does it look like 2024, something like that, or 25?
I guess that we will have releases continuing to be made. We are working in a continuous delivery mode, so you will see.
I get it. Yeah. Very managerial response.
Yeah. You will see release all the time.
Yeah. I totally understand.
Thanks.
Thank you. So when I was going through your repositories on GitLab, I also noticed that the XFCS project on the Eclipse Foundation, they also have some repositories, I guess, also for clearinghouse and etc. Are there any like relation between those, or is it like the same thing but different implementation?
At the moment, the only implementation allowed for the clearinghouse, so the compliance, the registry, and the notary, is the one from the AISBL. Basically, if you have a notary, at the moment it's not certified to issue credentials that are valid. We will work. We are hiring a QA to help us making the test bed and be able to identify notaries implementation that are okay with the specifications. But at the moment, Test System, Aruba, OVH, Orange, they are all deploying the 3 components I mentioned in my presentation. Okay, and regarding XFSC components, they are mostly federation components to make a federation. So they will use the compliance, the notary, and the registry, but just to issue credentials, to validate credentials. Most components from XFSC are, for example, wallets. So personal wallets, company wallets, components to share credentials, So basically, there is a connection, but they are using our components to validate the compliance, for example.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Adal from NTT, but I have a real clear question. Do you have some diagram or some design about your architecture that will be public?
Yes and no.
Part of what you have in GitHub?
Yes and no. If you take a look at the compliance repository, you will see, for example, a flow diagram explaining what are the steps. But no, we don't have a proper software architecture document. I'm working on it. I'm trying to use the C4 model to describe our components. So that will come. With this feedback, I will put it higher in the priority list. But no, at the moment, I don't have a proper architecture document to present. But I will work on it, and we will work on it. Thanks.
I'm expecting.
Okay, noticed.
I understand that the CES is to synchronize catalogs, and in the Outlook you mentioned something that you want to have an additional component for catalogs or to help people with catalogs. I didn't quite get that, what this would be.
So the CES allows you to share your compliance credential. This compliance credential has your original VC IDs that will allow people to retrieve your original VCs and see if they want them or not, and if they want to display them in the catalog or not. And we are also working on something that is in the architecture document, as far as I remember, that are the indexes for catalogs. So we are working on a library that will allow you catalog providers to propose, to expose these indexes about services. So you will have the veracity. So am I really sure that the service that is exposed is from the proper provider, was described using the provider certificate. Did I, as a service provider, added information on my architecture and stuff like that? All these indexes are in the architecture document, and so this second catalog we mentioned, that's a library allowing catalog providers to expose these indexes. And these indexes will help catalog providers to sort the results, because you will have, I hope, thousands and thousands of services in catalogs. So we need to find a way to sort them, to filter them. And these indexes will be a way to do a pre-filter. So that's what we will work on. And Alexis will do it.
Yeah, I'm missing some concept. The labeling concept, could it be more sort of extended, that you can more easily sort of label or classify the services?
Yeah, the labels, to be totally honest, they are not implemented at the moment. Well, they are in progress. As I mentioned, we are working on the PRLD 2211. So we will have the basic conformity from the labels, which means if you don't have basic conformity, you don't have compliance at all at the moment. This comes in after the summit, because I didn't want to break everything before the summit. And as we saw yesterday, Yassir is working on the policy reasoning. So we will probably have a way to add policies that says, okay, I want my services, my service criteria, whatever, to be labeled level 2, for example. And this is how you will be able to create a catalog and create response in your catalog that will match your expectations.
Yeah, because I was hoping we have all these data spaces that sort of publish services and whatever, that I can sort by data spaces, that I can say I only want this data space, services from this data space, and so on. And so far I had a little difficulties to fit this in the service description. Yeah,
the fact is that this will be the work of your catalog provider. We will provide a sample, an example of a catalog, but every catalog provider is free to add features in the catalog, for example, excluding people out of EU, for example, excluding AWS or Azure hosted components. Why not? Sovereignty, after all. So yeah, that will be the job of a catalog owner, and they can do whatever they want. They have access to all the credentials that are emitted. They can filter out what they want. Okay.
If I'm not wrong, I've seen that in Loire, the CES will be mandatory. What does it mean? That it is mandatory for the clearinghouse to deploy and offer it, or that each data space has to use it?
No, that's the first part of your question. It will be mandatory for clearinghouse to host the CES, meaning that we won't be the single point of failure for this component, because at the moment we are the only one hosting it. The clearinghouses will be hosters for the CES too.
And once VC is published within the CES, every other Gaia-X data space can take the service offering, for example, that is in there, and publish it within their catalog. Yeah. It is not the owner of the offering, the provider, who can decide in which catalogs to display his offering?
In fact, you have a way to do that. It's that putting rules on your wallet. For example, if you want to exclude people that are not in Spain, you can have a rule on your Nginx excluding all IPs that are not Spanish, for example. This way, your service will be available in the CES, but in fact, only people from Spain will be able to access the VC and then read your service. That's the wallet part, I will say, of this architecture. You can also not publish in the CES at all and just provide your VC to the people you want to access. So,
okay. But the publishing on the CES is decided by the data space and not by the provider, or is it the provider who can decide I want my credential to be published or not?
Depends on your data space. For example, I, as an individual, have a company. I chose to request an EVSSL certificate, create my credentials, and publish them to the CES. So they are available in the CES. I'm totally able to not send them to the CES and keep them for me, for example, and just send them to the people I want, allowing access.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry, while you were talking, so does it mean that I can apply rules to the service that I was under the impression that the policies I have on services only apply to the execution, but you make it sound like I can also put policy on the service for the visibility in other sort of catalogs?
In fact, as the holder of the VC, you are able to do whatever you want with your VC. You can exclude people from accessing it. Depends on your wallet. So yeah, you are.
Okay, so it's not the policy; it's sort of the catalog implementation.
But catalogs
that
could implement policies. You could have a catalog that allows you to create a policy, saying that I want the legal participant that want to read my service offering to be in France, for example. That's totally something feasible. I think we have 1 or 2 articles that will come out on the website soon regarding the policy reasoning, how can I contractualize the fact that I want to use a service, for example. So I hope this will help. That's Julian there, writing that. Do we have another question, maybe?
Just a comment on your question. Also, you can also do that, like reduce the visibility of your service offering, because you can also have basically a graph of service offering. You can have a very high level service offering. Great, Pierre is here. You can maybe say if I'm saying something wrong. You can have a high level service offering that you can publish to the CES that can be open. And then for the services you want like private access, you can have it like as like children of that high level one, and then set policies for each one. More questions?
So do we have any more questions? So thanks for coming. We will end this presentation here. Feel free to join us on Slack, on Matrix, on the OSS community meeting, on the OSS mailing list. Also on events, feel free to reach out to us, to give us feedbacks. They are very valuable. We are working for you, so feel free to reach us. Thank you.